Sigulda in Latvia, the venue for the 6th race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. The first race weekend of the brand new year, just a month out from the Winter Olympic Games. First action on Friday was skeleton, with the women taking to the ice in the morning. Two-time winner on the track in Sigulda, the 2020 European champion Elena Nikitina, shattering her own start record in the second heat to try and bring herself up from 7th place after a slightly loose first run. On Russia's second home track, she put in a good effort, but would it be enough for a medal? Next up, 6th off the first heat, World Cup points leader Kimberly Boss. Previously 2nd and 3rd here in last year's races, but she didn't quite have the speed on her Bromley sled to get into the medals in run 1. She took the lead with 5 to go. Boss was still in the lead as we got to the top 3. Yulia Kanakina has 2 career medals, both of them bronze medals, one this year, but a great first heat put her into contention and a great second heat kept her there. Ahead of Kimberly Boss with 2 to go and guaranteed a 3rd career medal. Second after the first heat, Kim Marmont of Belgium. Little Kim had a great start to the season with her first ever World Cup medal at the season opener in Innsbruck, and she has been on fire, but just couldn't handle the pace of her sled in the second heat, drifted away from the lead and dropped to 3rd place with 1 sled remaining. Final slider, Janine Flock, the first heat leader and last year's 2-time winner in Sigulda. She spends a lot of time testing and developing her sled on this track with the Ducours brothers and Matthias Guggenberger, the sled and the slider working well. She dropped a fraction behind Kanakina midway through the run, but steered back to take her 3rd straight win here. Kanakina, a career-high silver, ahead of Kimberly Boss, another medal for the World Cup points leader. And Boss continues to lead the action with 2 races remaining in the regular season before the Winter Games. The conditions had not improved much for the afternoon's men's skeleton race. Alexander Gassner in the first heat had posted the 6th fastest time in a field of 31 sleds. In the second, though, he had to hold off the challenge from Vladislav Heriskevich, the Ukrainian slider who'd been 13 and led into the top half dozen. Job done for Gassner. Would he now rise up the order? Next to go, Yevgeny Rukashwev won a race at a lower level on this track just 2 weeks earlier. A great first heat put him in contention, but a disappointing second run looked as though it was going to be touch and go with Gassner. He just hung on. And the 22-year-old would still be the leader as we got to the top 3 as Nikita Tregebov failed to improve on his first heat performance. Thomas Ducours, the silver medalist twice in the last 3 races here behind brother Martins, was looking to move up and consolidate his podium run after the first heat. He did more than that, blazing his way past Rukashwev with a great second heat. Jung Sung-gui of Korea was second after the first run, 33 hundredths behind Martins Ducours, 300ths ahead of Thomas, but could not hold on behind the older Latvian and slipped to second place, still guaranteed at least his first ever World Cup medal. But Martins Ducours, a 3-time consecutive winner on this track, had a disaster at the start of his second heat. The first round leader led initially, but that loss of speed after he popped the groove would cost him. He was soon behind his older brother. He rallied and an incredible drive got him close, but not close enough. It was a family 1-2 again, this time gold for Thomas and silver for Martins Ducours ahead of Jung Sung-gui, his first ever World Cup medal. A second World Cup win then for Thomas Ducours, 18 years after his first and at the same venue here in Sigulda. First sliding action of 2022, New Year's Day, bright and early for women's monobob. Wai Mingming of China in the top 5, a tightly packed race in Sigulda on this short, tight track. The Chinese driver trying to beat Australia's Ashley Werner, who held the lead after being 8th in the first of the 2 heats. And the Chinese athlete was ahead all the way with a brand new track record. Now, Jester Segeva, European champion on this track 2 seasons ago, lying in 4th place, just 600ths ahead of Wai Mingming after the first of the 2 heats. But she opened up her advantage using her knowledge of Russia's test track to just keep her nose in front at the line. In the bronze medal position after the first of the 2 heats, Ying Qing, her previous best, a 6th position in Altenburg 2 weeks earlier, but the Chinese slider couldn't match Segeva's knowledge and her run came unravelled. She slipped a couple of spots behind her teammate. Segeva was guaranteed at least a bronze medal as we got to the final 2 sleds. Brianna's Ashley Walker, silver medalist earlier in the month of December in Winterberg, Germany. A wild ride meant that she would do well to hang on in front of Segeva. It was close at the line, but she just made it.
Happy New Year, everyone!
Christine de Bruyn of Canada, the winner in Altenburg 2 weeks earlier. Despite all the COVID problems within the Canadian team here in Sigulda, she managed to get in 1 training run. And that means that she doubled her experience of monobobs on this track with 2 heats in the race. Led the first and set a brand new track record to take her 2nd consecutive gold. Christine de Bruyn the victor, and she now takes the lead of the World Cup standings with 2 races remaining. Saturday afternoon and the first of a double-header 2-man weekend. Canada's Justin Cripps lay in 6th position after the first of the 2 heats, the top 6 covered by 1600ths of a second. Roman Heinrich had been in 8th place, just behind Francesco Frigic, but still led as Cripps came to the line. The Canadian taking the advantage. 100th quicker than Cripps in the first heat had been Seaman Friedley, with already a bronze and a silver medal under his belt in previous races on this track. Could he break into the medals? Well, he was ahead of Cripps all the way until he wasn't at the line. Cripps still led as we got to the final 3 sleds after Johannes Lochner had tumbled down the order like his German teammates. Benny Meyer, previously a bronze medalist on this track, had a good 2nd heat as well to consolidate that and grant himself the first medal of 2022. Benny had been 600ths off the lead in the first heat. Russia's Rostislav Gajtukovic just 100th away. It was a wild first trip. He tidied things up in the second, produced slightly better speed, raced away from Meyer to guarantee himself a career best silver medal at worst. But he would have to wait to see who claimed the gold. Great Britain's Brad Hall and Greg Cackett had led the first heat by just 100th of a second, matching their first start, but mistakes early on cost him the early advantage and he never quite recovered. Silver medal at the line behind the brand new winner Gajtukovic. Brad Hall claimed a 2nd career silver medal, but what could have been? Rostislav Gajtukovic and Mikhail Mordasov start the new year as brand new race winners, but Francesco Frigic continues to lead the standings. Sunday morning, final day of Sigulda action kicks off with women's bobsleigh. On the short, tight Sigulda track, mistakes are often costly. Brianna Walker and rookie driver Anna Spriovis from Germany both crashed in the first heat. They were all good to go again, but Walker made the same mistake and again was over. Reigning World Cup champion Kati Bile crashed out of a possible 10th place finish. Her crew also uninjured. Anastasia Makarova, on what is effectively home ice for the Russian crew, was in the top 6 after first heat. Holding off from Yingqing of China. Great lines at the bottom of the track just gave her enough to squeeze in front at the line. Next up, China's Wai Mingming. Teammate Yingqing had already secured at least a top 8 finish, equaling her career best. Wai also had a top 8 as her World Cup best from this season, but was on target to make it into the top 5. A great result for the Chinese slider a month out from the Games. Gold medalist in the monobob on Saturday, Christine de Bruyne lay in 4th place, just 1500ths out of the medals on Sunday. Her early lead was whittled down towards the line, but she did enough to take the lead with 3 to go. In the top 3, Great Britain's Misha McNeil, second ever start for her brakewoman Adele Nichol, and they were in a chance of a medal position. A strong run from McNeil, a big mistake near the end, but it didn't cost her just enough to hold on at the line, guaranteeing herself her first ever World Cup medal. Tied at the start and at the finish, Alana Myers-Taylor and Nadezhda Sergeyeva of Russia, equal leaders after the first heat. Myers-Taylor was first to go. Lake Quasar has never finished out of the medals in her 5 bobsleigh race career to date. And Alana Myers-Taylor had enough to hold on ahead of Misha McNeil to guarantee herself her first World Cup medal of the season in women's bob. Nadezhda Sergeyeva was the European champion on this track in 2020, but that luck deserted her. She crashed, rolled back up, but fell to the bottom of the order. It was gold for Myers-Taylor, silver for McNeil, and bronze for de Bruyne. Myers-Taylor and de Bruyne now at the top of the leaderboard. The final race of the weekend in Sigulda, it's the second for the 2-man. Oskars Kibermanis finished a disappointing 10th place on his home track in the first of the 2-man races. The double race winner a couple of seasons ago, the Latvian found much more form on Sunday afternoon, driving himself strongly into the lead with 4 sleds remaining. Next up, Benny Meyer, bronze medalist in race 1 here. Christian Huber, the new brakeman, on the back of the sled for day 2 of the action. But Benny couldn't keep up the pace that he'd managed to find in the first run down the track. His slender advantage over Kibermanis evaporated. 3 to go. Switzerland's Simon Friedli has a silver and 2 bronze medals from previous races here in Sigulda. Today he was trying to cling on for another piece of metalware, 700s up into the closing stages, but a mistake just before the final Kreisel cost him at the line, and suddenly Kibermanis was in the medals. Brad Hall was tied for the lead in the first heat of race 1. He was 600ths off the lead in the first heat of race 2. The previous day's silver medalist put down a smoking run to leave Oskars Kibermanis trailing in his wake and guarantee at least another silver medal. But was it enough to hold off Francesco Friedrich? The great German had made 2 mistakes at the start in day 1's races, ended up 12th, his worst result since November 2017. He made fewer mistakes on his way down in race 2 though, and hung on just to keep his 600ths of a second lead alive at the line to claim his 60th career gold medal in World Cup races, his 42nd 2-man gold, and his 7th win here in Sigulda alone. Francesco Friedrich leads the standings with 2 races remaining. Yesterday's mistakes are all forgotten as he claims another gold.